All right, everybody, how you doing? Happy Sunday. I am Dr. Alicia with Coaching with Dr. Alicia, and today we are continuing our conversation with how to be an adult in relationships. We are talking about the 5 keys to mindful loving. I'm all lit up, so there's no excuse why I can't read the words on the page. But we are continuing our conversation today, talking about finding a partner. So, for all of you who are just joining me and haven't been keeping up with all of the video episodes on the 5 keys to mindful loving, please go to the show notes. There's a summary of what the 5 keys to mindful loving is, the definition. It is attention, it is acceptance, it is allowing, it is affection, and it is appreciation. Those are the 5 keys to mindful loving. And these are all the different things that we need to be an adult in relationships. We need to be able to receive this. We need to be able to give this to other individuals. And we also need to be able to recognize in ourselves when those 5 keys are lacking. And we've talked about how to give that to ourselves as adults, not children. Children can't do that for themselves. But as adults, we need to learn how to recognize when any of those areas are lacking in our lives and how to give it to ourselves. To learn about this more in depth, you go to the show notes. I have every single episode I've done on this book. We are on chapter 3. We're finishing up chapter 3, and all of the links to chapter 1 is there. All of the links to chapter 2 is also listed in the show notes. So be sure to check that out if you're just joining me. We've gone too far into this book to go back and recap everything, but everything that you need to stay abreast of what we've been talking about here today is in the show notes. The links are there. And David Risho, he's the author of this book. People on my team have been reaching out to him. He has agreed to come onto the show on a Monday. Actually, he's going to join us on a mental health Monday. He has agreed to come on. I think it's the first Monday in November. We haven't confirmed for sure, but he has agreed to come on here and to talk about what we have discussed. And I'm going to be talking about Black folks, like the fact that African Americans as a whole, we haven't been treated this way in this country. So I do want to talk about that. And I do want to talk about the relationship between Black men and women in particular. So those are my thoughts and ideas. He is a therapist. He's someone who's like, I have over 20 years of practice experience as a licensed therapist. David Risho has over 50. He's in his 80s. And so we really appreciate the fact that he has agreed to come on this show and talk to us. So I want to show you, who knows when I go live on Sunday, but to really understand and to really stay on top of when I decide to do Healing Haven Book Club on every Sunday, I'd like to invite you guys to text the word love, LOVE, to 87948. And if you do that, then you'll receive notifications on when I talk about these topics. I think now's the time for all of us to grow up, time to leave childish behavior behind us. And that is what we're talking about today. And we need to rethink about how we treat each other, how we interact with each other, and particularly how we can be psychologically balanced so that we can enter into this world and give our gifts. We have gifts to give. And so the world needs us to show up in an adult. Our families need us to show up in our relationships healthy, and our children and our friends and just society. We need to have a healthy society. And I think that this is how we do that. So I just want to say hello to everybody joining. Hey, Ralph, how you doing? Ralph says, good evening, Dr. Alicia. Good evening, Ralph. How are you doing? Let's see who else. WHG says good evening. I say good evening back. James, how you doing? From Philly. Look at that. I've never been to Philly. Well, I've been to Philly maybe just once, but I'd like to go back to Philly one day. Just hello, everyone. Joshon, yes, I saw you in here earlier getting ready. Please talk about relationships and how we talk to one another and treat each other. Oh my goodness. Put some specific questions in there about that. That would be very interesting. And it also leads into what we're going to talk about today. So I really like that you bring that up, Joshua. And let's be the change. What's up with that? Let's be the change we want to see. I love that. But let's get started with the book. I want to get into the book. Let's see. Let me talk about my banner. Oh, y'all can y'all watch me on Instagram. Follow me on Instagram, Coaching with Dr. Alicia. I put good posts, try to put as good posts as I possibly can on Instagram. I appreciate that. Oh, before we get started in the book, I am doing a webinar this Thursday evening, and I'm so excited about doing this because people ask me all the time about trauma and about how to get rid of the stress in their life. This is what I do on an individual basis, and I just it gets me going. I could talk for days about it. And so I decided that I would do a webinar on Thursday so that I can teach you guys how to deal with stress. And if you're interested in that, go to my website, About Me, coachingwithdralicia.com. Go to that website. Leave that up for the remaining of our conversations with each other today. Because I want you to go on there and go to my webinar, register for the webinar. There's limited spaces, but it is a great opportunity for me to teach you about learning about traumas, learning about what trauma means, and understanding how it's connected to the stress in your life and how to eliminate stress in your life so you can live in peace. That's what I'm going to be talking about Thursday night. I am responding to a lot of y'all's inquiries about this. And so that's something that I'm going to do Thursday night. It's a special gift. It's absolutely free. You don't have to pay anything for it. And of course, I'm going to be talking about my healing haven, which I think is very important. So let's see. Tara says she doesn't get on Instagram every day. You know what, Tara? I don't usually get on Instagram every day, but it's part of my business. So I feel like I have something that I want to teach and information that I want to convey. But I agree with you, Tara. And I don't try not to get on Instagram all the time. Okay, now put that to the side. Let's get into our book. We are talking about chapter 3, which is finding a partner. And we're going to talk about longings. What is it that we long for, right? So he starts here. I am on, for all of you all who have the paper copy of this book, I am on page 99. So we're almost on the page 100. I'm on page 99 at the end of page 99. And the title is Our Longings. Our Longings. The way we feel our life is meaningless if we are not in love with someone or not in a sexual relationships. So he's saying that we may feel that our life is meaningless if we are not in love with someone or not in a sexual relationship. I think this applies to women in particular. There's so many instances that I see online, even in my personal life, where women in general feel as if they identify themselves as either a mother or they identify themselves as a spouse or wife and a significant other, and that's limited. Like their identity and who they are as a person is centered around whether they have a love interest. So if I'm in a relationship, I'm always looking to be in a relationship. And if I'm not in a relationship or I am with a significant person, that is how I craft my identity. And I think that we need to revisit some of those ideas about relationships, about how there's so much more to you than being a spouse, than being someone's girlfriend, than being booed up. Like, there's so much more to your life that it's outside of being in a relationship. And I do think women tend to preoccupy ourselves with either getting a man, keeping a man, finding a man, all of these things about finding a loved one. And I think that for a lot of women who can see that this is problematic, they say, you know, who else am I? Why should I carry on this sort of limited identity in who and what I am? So that's something to kind of think about. How are you categorizing yourself, particularly to ladies there? How are you categorizing yourself if you happen to be single? Is that okay? It's okay to be single. It's okay to be in a place in your life where you're not necessarily tied to another person. It is okay, even if you are tied to another person, not to develop everything in your life centering around you and your relationship. You are your own person. So that's something that I think that we need to also keep in mind, that for many of us, our life is meaningless unless we are able to be in love or to be in a romantic relationship. And we need to reconsider that, right? And we talked about in previous weeks how not everybody's ready to be in a committed relationship. And we did talk about 2 Sundays ago, we talked about maybe you're just not in the place where you're ready to be in a committed relationship. And it's important to know this. Okay, so we may feel our life is meaningless if we are not in love with someone or not in a sexual relationship. If so, we discredit ourselves and miss out on all the rest of what our life is about, right? You miss out. Your life is more than just your position in a relationship, right? When we feel the absolute need for a one-to-one love relationship, we are really meeting up with a strong need for personal work on ourselves. This is an unconscious decision. If you feel the need that you want to be in a one-on-one relationship, what you really mean is that you're meeting up with a strong need to grow. Wanting to be married, wanting to take on that extra role is really an unconscious decision, not necessarily to receive love, but to give love, but it's also in that process, you are making the decision to grow. Now, I don't know if you know, I married my husband when he was 50. He had spent his whole life as a single, unmarried man. He wasn't single the whole time, but it was a transition that he had to go through. And I'm like, this is the transition he went through. So there's something in all of us, not even just in my marriage, but in all of y'all's, anybody out there who's married, there's something in you that says, I want to be able to grow and I want to have a better relationship with myself. Okay. Our longing for that special someone, the be all end all of our lives, also distracts us from appreciating our own company. So you need to kind of think about this. Are you in a place where you feel like you need to be in a relationship and focus your time and energy on finding a partner and trying to get someone to be in a relationship with you? Does that in the way, distract you from dealing with your own sense of just being by yourself and getting to know yourself, right? So that's interesting. So fascinating. I know that there's this trend. There's a lady, her name is Passport Abuser. Her name is Passport Abuser. And she's a really smart, remarkable person. And her entire brand, her entire company is all about women who want to travel alone. Solo travel. I don't know how people do this, but it's all about women wanting to go to other countries and concerned about safety. So she takes care of all of that for you and helps you to be able to explore and find out who you are alone. So it is really interesting. She is all into appreciating your own company. And she herself got married. And I was asking her, like, how are you and your husband going to negotiate that? And she's like, well, I just let him know I need my own time. That my marriage, our marriage together is important, but also my own alone time. And I want to be able to enjoy my own company. And she's built an entire multi-million-dollar business just on that one concept. So check her out, Passport Abuser. I think she's really amazing in helping empower Black women to take on some of these travel arrangements. Don't be waiting for some man to get you flued out. You know, don't wait on some man to travel and to invest in learning about the world. You can do that on your own and enjoy your own company. So I really think y'all check her out, Passport Abuser. I can't remember her name offhand, but really beautiful lady and a really beautiful brand. Enjoying your own company. Is a relationship stopping you from enjoying your own company? We might also be paying little attention to our spiritual practice and loving kindness. Kindness, kind to yourself. The broader love that is our real focus and destiny as enlightened beings. Interesting. He goes on to say, it is not that the erotic and intimate love are not worthy human pursuits, only that they seem to work better if we approach them with mindfulness. Y'all know what mindfulness means, right? Mindfulness means we relate to our desire for love mindfully by feeling it fully. So if you feel like, gosh, I want to be in love, allow yourself to just feel that emptiness, that longing. Pay attention to it, because mindfulness means don't respond to how you feel. Just let yourself feel what's happening. And even if you sit and think and say, I'm feeling lonely right now, you can just sit and say, what is it about this loneliness? Why is it that I'm preoccupied with finding a mate? This feeling of want to be loved, he's saying that we need to sit in that mindfully. Feeling it, witnessing how it changes and where it lends us, and accepting that it may or may not be fulfilled soon. You need to accept. If you're looking for love and you can't find it, you have to accept the fact that you don't have it right now. Accept that it may or may not be totally fulfilled. It is possible, right? That you'll be single. All that is a possibility. The painful alternative is to become possessed by our desire, obsessed by it. So obsessed by it that our wide angle perspective deserts us and we see only the inside of our head. What you won't do for love, boy. Okay. We are like a prisoner who sees only the walls of his cell and takes them for a four-cornered world. Then we are unconscious of how desire works or how it can or serve as a means to psychological and spiritual maturity. Yes, we are unconscious of how desire works. We're unconscious about how desire works and how it can serve as a means to psychological and spiritual maturity. Can you function as an adult and still pay attention to a longing, an emptiness that you may feel because you don't have someone to share with you? Can you stay in that void without running off with somebody that you know ain't right for you, right? Just any and everybody to fill you up. Interesting. That's tough to do. Easy said, hard to do, right? To reveal our longing to a partner is to trust that he or she will understand, hold, and mirror them as perfectly legitimate. Yeah, I really do think that it's hard to kind of talk about what you really want. I mean, how many of y'all are interested in getting married and are dating to get married, but feel a little apprehensive about saying that up front? I think what a lot of people say is, we'll just take it day by day. Instead of saying, actually, I'm looking for a mate. I'm actually looking for someone. Zara said, such an honest question to ask yourself. Yeah, because if you're really looking to get married, are you going to say that to somebody? It may scare them off to say that. And I think the safest thing to say is, I'm open. I'm open for whatever. If it's casual, it's casual. If it leads to marriage, then that's so be it. I find that a lot of people say these things when really they're just looking for somebody to settle down with. It is what? It's getting cold outside, right? So if someone to settle down with. That validation is what we long for, even more than fulfillment. Sometimes our longing is so strong and the partner of our dreams is so long in coming that we settle for sex as if it were love. We get it confused. Woo, settle for intercourse, thinking that it's love, and it's not. Being honest about your intentions. Fortunately, copious touch and scant love will cloy quickly. Such cloying may be a gift that directs our psyche back to the path of wholeness. Sometimes you don't feel wholeness. The healthier we become, the more we want only the combination of love and holding. The healthier we become, the more we want only the combination of love and holding, not the ruptured abridgments that come from strangers who offer one-night stands and sex for money. The more respect we have in our own sexuality, the fewer the chances we take that will stunt or blunt it. When we have sex for love's purpose and for as long as love takes to get to us, it serves us and others as a means to more love. Okay, what is he talking about here? What he's talking about is that mature love, the love that you get as an adult, right? The adult type of love is connected with psychological growth. And that if you're only looking for the exchange of what he calls sex for money, that's ladies. Sometimes ladies, and I've heard women say, not y'all, of course, but I've heard some women say, ain't no romance without finance. I've heard women say, I ain't gonna date no broke man. I've heard women say, if you're gonna take me out, you gotta spend some money on me. I've heard women focus a lot on how much money a man has and how much money a man can spend on you. And if you solely base a sexual relationship just on money, some of y'all women out there or women that you know who do that, that is a signal that you need to be psychologically balanced. So a sign of psychological imbalance is a woman who only wants sex for money. I didn't say it. Joshua calls it prostitution. We can call it prostitution. But sometimes it could be a little more sophisticated than that. Sometimes it's not spelled out, where you can say, I'm only giving it up for a man if he spends this much money on me. That is a signal, according to being an adult in relationship, that's a signal of what he calls you're not quite healthy. The healthier you become, the more you're not going to just look at transactional relationships. That's what I call it, transactional. So I'm not going to just beat up on women. Fellas, one night stands. If you're only interested in one night stands, according to this last paragraph, that is a sign that there is needed in you more psychological balance and personal growth. That's a sign that that's what you need. So these transactional relationships, one night stands, you got to have a certain kind of money for if you're going to get with me. Those sort of transactional relationships, according to this book, is a sign of childish behavior. And it's also a sign that you're not quite psychologically healthy. What do y'all think? Does that make sense? I think that's a heck of a, it's on page 100, third paragraph is pretty heavy. So how y'all feeling? I am Dr. Alicia. In case you don't know, there's my website, coachingwithdralicia.com. I work with individuals, I work with couples and some families. How y'all feeling? Y'all feeling okay? I do go live. I'm going live today a little earlier than I normally do, but it's never a set time. So if you want to, if you want to know when I go live, I'm asking you to, now that I click the buttons, text the word love, LOVE, to 87948. And of course, follow me on Instagram at Coaching with Dr. Alicia. And there's my website. And I am here on a Sunday, and we are going over how to be an adult in relationships. And page 100 is talking about psychological health. And that when, I'm going to reread this because I think it's really interesting. He's saying that the healthier we become psychologically, the more we want only the combination of love and holding. We want love and holding. The healthier we become psychologically, not the ruptured abridgments that comes from strangers who only offer one night stands and sex for money. So I think that's a very powerful statement. And that's something for us to kind of think about. If you run into somebody like that, that is interesting. Ronald says, keep adding value to healthy relationships. Yeah, that's what men want. That's what people want. Zara, I'm listening to this. You're giving us wisdom and grace. We need to hear this. Thank you, Zara. How you doing today? Okay. And so James says, yes, people want to know your astrological sign, astral sign, what's your job, how much money you make, what kind of car you drive. Those are all superficial things. And of course, that tells you that according to that, healthier people psychologically is tied to what we want. We want love and holding. Okay. So before we move on to the next part, Thursday night, I am doing a free webinar. I am going to teach you guys things that I do in my private practice. I talk to people all day about stress, about worry, and I've been working with clients individually for over 20 years about how to live a peaceful life. And so I'm going to teach you guys how to do that this Thursday. It's a free webinar. And go to About Me, coachingwithdralicia.com. Go to that website. I'll leave it up there. I also, maybe I can get my husband to put it in the chat. But if you text LOVE, let's see, if you text LOVE to 87948, we'll send you a special invitation. And you can talk to me, and I'll be teaching you how not to have stress in your life, how to live a life purposefully. It's everything that I've been talking to my clients about. And so I decided, instead of working one-on-one individually, I can teach an entire group of you all. That's what I do all day, is teach. I'm a full-time college professor, full-time. I'm teaching 4 classes this semester, and I do a lot of grading and a lot of teaching. So I'm going to deliver that to you guys free. So check it out, Thursday night webinar. You'll get the link if you go to this website here, About Me, Coaching with Dr. Alicia, coachingwithdralicia.com. And then you could register for the free website and learn about your traumas, what it means, and how never to experience stress again. Okay. So we move on. So the author is talking about in this next section about your destiny. So he hasn't really spoken about finding a mate, but he's telling you that some of it is just left up to chance. And so he's talking about it here, and I think it's really nice that he mentions this. Okay, so destiny plays a part. Destiny plays a part. And he starts with this quote from Abraham Lincoln, right? Abraham Lincoln says, "I will get ready, and someday any chance I will get ready, and someday my chance will come." So Abraham Lincoln said, "I will get ready, and someday my chance will come." That is really interesting, because what that's saying is basically, stay ready and you don't have to get ready. If Abraham Lincoln was alive today, I think that's how he put it. You got to stay ready. So you don't have to worry about getting ready, because you stay ready. So all y'all need to be stay ready. Stay ready for something to come to you, because when it happens, then you'll be able to really embody that. Someday your chance will come. So stay ready, because your chance will come, and you got to know and believe that it will. Thank you, Abraham Lincoln. Okay. So what he's talking about is synchronicity. Synchronicity is a meaningful coincidence that directs us toward our destiny. Okay. Coincidence, synchronicity that is meaningful, that directs us toward our destiny. Something we know, not what, is always at work. Something we know not what is always at work. We know not how, but we do know why, to assist us in becoming free of fear and open to love. He is talking about what I can interpret that as the subconscious mind. Because when you have a goal, so if your goal is to find a husband, the goal is, for some of you ladies or men, I want to have a spouse, somebody who will love me unconditionally, and I will love them unconditional, for whatever that means. All you have to do is think about the end, how it happens, because that's what he's saying. We know not how. You know not how. You're never going to know how it's going to happen to you, but you have to trust and believe that it will happen for you. That's what they're saying. That's the destiny plays a part, because sometimes you have to leave it up to destiny. He's calling it destiny. I call it leave it up to your subconscious mind. Some of you guys who are religious might call it leave it up to Jesus, or leave it up to Allah, or leave it up to God. Wherever you are in your spiritual and religious development, wherever you are, you right. Whoever it is, you are correct in whatever your spiritual or religious beliefs are. But you don't know the means of which it's going to get there. You never know the how it's going to happen for you. You always know that trust and believe that your subconscious mind is working it out for you in your best interest. Know and believe there are no mistakes. Know and believe that God loves you no matter what and is always working it out. for whatever you all believe. Know and believe that your higher self, your ancestors, whatever you want to connect with, the universe, your spirit guides, whatever, however spiritual and religious you are, you have to know and believe that all of those elements are working things out for your best interest. All you have to do is set the intention and it will manifest. Okay? So let's see where that's how I interpret it. Let's see where he goes. He is saying, thus, finding a partner does not entirely depend on our efforts. Stop trying so hard. Finding a partner does not depend on our efforts. We have to stop trying so hard. That's how I see that. Other forces over which we have no control comes into play. You do not have conscious control. What does Ronald say? Continue to connect to your higher self. Whatever that means, right? Whatever you follow. I happen to be very spiritually inclined. I'm not necessarily very religious personally, but I love people who are religious. They're fascinating, interesting people. I'm just not very religious personally, but I respect and love people who are religious. So, other forces over which you have no control, I would say conscious control, come into play because your subconscious mind is always working for you, right? Okay, so he goes into this scenario, which I think is really fascinating. James is a young man who ardently wishes he could meet the woman of his dreams. He thinks he is doing all the right things, frequenting singles bars, he's answering ads, joining dating services, and approaching bridesmaids at his friends' weddings, where he has often been an usher or best man. But nothing works. He's frustrated and disheartened. He decides to give up for a while and let nature take its course. How many of you all worry? Who's single out there? If you're single, let me know. All the single people, raise your hand. All the single people, let me know. Let's be the change. Are you single? Wayne, are you single? James, are you single? Let me know. Put in the chat if you're single. Zara is single. Y'all, Zara is single. But y'all, what? Zara is smart. Marcel Taylor is single. All y'all single people, do you worry about finding a mate? Listen, y'all check out. Look at James and Zara. We can have some hookups here on the channel. Wayne is married. Leave him alone, ladies. Wayne is taken. Okay, some of y'all single and satisfied. I love it. That's the approach to take. Who is this? Barbara. That's how y'all need to be. Single and satisfied. That's great. Single and satisfied is so wonderful. Denise is single. Y'all, Denise is single. Wayne. What's Wayne? I'm also a counselor. Ah, cool. Wayne, you got to come on my Mental Health Monday and talk about some of the counseling that you do. Julia is single. Y'all, there's some hookups going on. I don't worry. I don't worry. I pray for one. Yes. So Julia is spot on. I think worrying kills it. Because why would you have to worry? Anybody who reads the Bible, anybody who believes in spiritual development, anybody who's religious, anybody who believes in Jesus and God should never, ever worry, because the many things that they say in the Bible, it is all through the Bible, many different ways, always telling you not to worry. There's no sense of worrying. And as a matter of fact, I think worrying kills your destiny. So yes, so worrying kills your destiny. So the best thing to do is to trust and believe in the power of your subconscious mind. Trust and believe in the power of the God in you. Trust and believe in Jesus, in Allah, whoever you pray to, or spiritual development, you have to trust and believe. So there's no need to worry. But that's what James was doing here in our scenario. He was worried. He said nothing worked. He was frustrated. He was disheartened. He decides to give up for a while and let nature take its course, which is what he should have been doing from the beginning, right? I like this, Wayne. You can't have fear and worrying and faith in the same place. That's what's up. It's Sunday. We could preach on a Sunday. Absolutely. Or space. Yes, that's right. Faith cannot happen in the same place as worry. So I love that. So that's James' scenario. He's frustrated. He's given up. He's what you won't do for love. The Bobby Caldwell song, right? What you won't do for love. You tried everything, but you don't give up. Okay, so let's move on. In another part of town, Jamie wishes she could meet the man of her dreams, one with tender feelings, interests similar to hers, a sense of humor, reasonably good looks, and basic sanity, which nowadays seem to mean not being a chainsaw murderer. She sometimes goes to singles bars with her friends, female friends, briefly joined a dating service with no luck at all, and has even been a bridesmaid at her friends' weddings, but recoils from the wedding party members making liquor braver than advances. So she didn't like being hit on by drunk men, I guess. Like James, Jamie has given up the search and is letting the universe take over, letting God take over, right? The God in her. Although she's peeved that it is taking its own sweet time. So she's worried. But you know what? She's like, I'm going to let the universe take over. James is a cyclist who follows a routine path along the beach each day. One day, for no apparent reason, he decides on an alternative path through the botanical garden. Although he usually rides hard without stopping anywhere, on this occasion, he allows himself to stop and smell the roses. So it must have popped into his head, hey, James, stop and smell the roses. And I think that when you just let go, you know, people say let go and let God, right? When you let go, that's when all the magic happens. Things, ideas, everything pops into your head. And we call it intuition. You just go with it. You're like, something's telling me to stop and smell the roses. You can't deny that. You relax and you go with it. Walking his bike through the garden, James is absorbed by the beauty of a single file of cactuses between two footpaths. He suddenly notices that one of the cactuses has bloomed with a stunning white and gold flower. He knows that this species blooms only once a year for one day. And it only blooms once a year for one day. And he happens to see this. That's something to witness. So he is drawn to the flower with an instant and intense focus, and he spontaneously bends down to savor it. At that same moment, on the parallel path, unnoticed by the fragrance intoxicated James, a young lady who works in the botanical garden bends over to experience the blossom sweetness. Their heads crack together painlessly but resoundingly, and they find themselves suddenly staring into each other's eyes with only the fragrance of the cactus between them. James says, well, we really put our heads together for that one, didn't we? James responds with a smile. Yes, you might say it's true. Meeting of the minds. They soon discover that they have more than just a sense of humor in common. They both love cactuses, grow them at home. Look at the coincidences. Know all the Latin names of the various species. What? Meant to be. Are clumsy enough to have been stuck, often with cactus needles, and a true sign of readiness for relationship. A year later, what do y'all think happened a year later? James and Jamie finally make it to a wedding at which they are neither usher nor bridesmaid. On that joyous occasion, with no prior knowledge of how they met or of their mutual botanical interest, the poetry loving minister quotes the lines from Gray's Elegy. Full many a flower is born to blush unseen, and waste is sweetness in the desert air. That sweetness was not wasted on James or Jamie. Look at that coincidence. I get distracted when my husband comes in. It lasts beyond their extraordinary romance. Through their normal conflicts, right? And into their soul-mated lives, they have found the love that can survive any depth of catechism and any length of time. So this is what happened. Yes, they get married. That is so, what a coincidence that the person who married them did not know the story, but happened to read that particular poem that was salient to how they met. You'd think they'd know, right? The events of this story are all coincidences, but they are also an example of synchronicity. That is a meaningful coincidence or opportunity. So if you relax and allow, that's how you can fulfill your destiny. Relax and allow, and know and believe that everything is working out for your best interest. Know and believe. The synchronicity is there. That's beautiful. That's how you know it's real, right? Okay. Because it's a meaningful coincidence or opportunity, because they further and fulfill the personal destinies of two people. It is a coincidence that both James and Jamie have similar bad luck at dating, or does it happen to preserve them for one another? Wow. Maybe having bad luck at dating was just what they needed. They needed to have that bad luck at dating so that they could just forget about it, give up, and let the universe do its work. I'm going to tell you, I had really thought about doing matchmaking. And the reason why I abandoned the idea was because there's no science to it. I'm trying to look for, as a scientist, I'm a licensed therapist, so I believe in evidence-based practice. So I wanted to, in my practice, be able to use evidence to match people together. And I found that there is absolutely no study, there's no science behind matching people together. And if any of y'all look at these shows on television, Married at First Sight, and some of these TV shows where they feel like we are experts and we can put you together with somebody that we feel like will be successful. Nobody knows. There is no math. There is no formula. There is no preset criteria that can make people come together. And once I realized that, I figured this is just too squishy for me. Me as a scientist didn't feel comfortable doing matchmaking when there's no science behind it, unless I build a business on the concept that I'd have to be honest and transparent and say, I don't know how to match people together because there is no science on how to match people together. Some of this is too squishy. You can't pinpoint it down. So if anyone tries to tell you guys, anybody trying to take your money and tell you, I can guarantee I can match you with somebody who will be a partner for you, you need to run in the opposite direction, because that is not possible. At least I don't know that it's a possible. Yeah, I think it is a choice. What are you saying, Jay? I never thought dating can be this simple. Yeah, it can be simple, Jay. So, but I think that's just interesting. There's no science to dating, by the way. No science to matching you with the perfect person. And I think this explains why there is a unmeasurable synchronicity of coincidences that we just can't get to. So I'd love to build a business on that, but I couldn't honestly do it and say, I can guarantee you will find your future spouse. I just couldn't do it. But anyway, so it is a coincidence that James, for no apparent reason, that is, not because of left brain logic, but because of stirrings in a deeper intuitive source. He's tapping into an intuitive source. He tapped into an intuitive source because he stopped forcing it. He stopped worrying, number one, and he stopped forcing things to happen. That's what I think. And that makes you relax. And absolutely. When you relax, you definitely have a beeline with this intuitive force. I think the God force in you, maybe your ancestors guide you, maybe your spirit guides guide you, however you want to call that. It takes a different path and decides to stop where Jamie works. Or was it something always at work that we do not know about? Did Jamie take this job only through it to be, it would be where she'd meet James? When James took an interest in cycling, was he gearing up to meet his future bride? Oh my God, you can drive yourself crazy thinking about this. Is it coincidence that both of them love cactuses from childhood? Wow. Is it possible that they're destined from childhood? Or did the relationship invisibly begin many years before they met, with events repeatedly lining themselves up to make a meeting possible? Was it something unknown at work, carefully or mysteriously incubating a union that would be good for two good people? That's fascinating. Do y'all believe in reincarnation? Could it be? He didn't go into reincarnation in the book, but it could be reincarnation. Maybe before we're even born, we make the decision with someone and say, hey, let's celebrate our love for each other, and let's go into the flesh form so that we can love each other and express love for each other. Who knows? Maybe in a past life, they were connected with each other and it's beyond their control. It was destined for them to be together. Woo, this gets into something, right? Is it the universe so reliably on our side to such a minutely calibrated degree that it takes a cactus bloom on precisely the day two people might see it and thereby meet? And how did the minister, who knew many poems, choose that one for the wedding ceremony? Who knows? A great poem benefits a long list of people in future generations. Does a poem write his poem for them? So the author of the poem, did they write it specifically for them? Oh my. Reason and logic pronounce all this mere coincidence. I like to call it synchronicity instead of coincidence. But something fearless and boundless deep in the psyche honors it all as part of a larger design of the universe, articulated in and for the fulfillment of individual lives. Notice how in the story, a personal fulfillment requires nature's participation. The cactus blooming, that was nature's participation. Human methods, dating services, ads, and so forth, all of those failed. Or something greater than the ego could stepped in. It is easy to see why people in all ages have believed that love rules the universe. I can't resist the urge to tell y'all about Boyce and I. It was a lot of coincidences when we met, but I will tell you, when I met him, before he was, I don't know if y'all know, I've known my husband 30 years. So this was before he was Dr. Boyce. I knew him when he was Boyce. And I always felt like when we met, this sense came over me like, oh, I found him. I don't know how to explain it, but I always felt like I found him. Now, I didn't know what it meant because when I first met Boyce, I don't know if he was single or not, but he always had a girlfriend. And he never led me to believe that he was interested in me at all. So I just figured I wasn't his type. I didn't think anything about it, but I always kept up with him because I was always interested in him. I always was fascinated with Boyce, and I enjoyed hanging out with him. He's fun. Y'all, he's fun to hang out with. And I still to this day have a lot of fun with him. And so that's the only thing I remember our friendship is that he was fun. Now, I was single. When we met, I was single for many years. And so I would just like have conversations with him and talk to him about his girlfriend or whoever he was dating. Sometimes I would meet his girlfriend and talk to whoever that person was, but he never showed any interest in me. I was really surprised when he said he was interested in me because he never articulated an interest. But when we started dating, do y'all know we have the same tattoo? Not tattoo, we have the same birthmark. Do y'all know that? Boyce and I have the exact same birthmark in the exact same spot. I'll leave it there. So I think he'll be okay with me sharing that. Yeah, Dr. Alicia and Dr. Boyce. Yeah, so Boyce and I have the exact same birthmark on our bodies, and it's in the exact same spot. That's a coincidence. I don't think he's ever talked about that. I don't think I've ever shared that with a large group of people, but yeah, we have the exact same birthmark. So I don't know. I think that's really interesting. Do y'all know anybody that has the exact same birthmark in the exact same spot? I don't know. So I kind of felt like, wow, it kind of blows me away even now to think about it. And we haven't talked about it in a while, but we have the same birthmark, the exact same birthmark in the exact same spot on our body. So maybe it was meant to be. I think it was. Okay, let's move on. We're going to finish up this section. Synchronicity means that nothing and no one exists in isolation. We're all connected, y'all. The parts of James and Jamie met in the present and initiated their future. The series of coincidences that led to their meeting unite the layers of time indeed. Synchronicity means the times coalesce. Notice how synchronicity is visible only in retrospect. You don't know when it's happening in the moment, but you sit back and think, wow, we cannot anticipate or plan it, and we can disregard it. You can. The names of our young people sound familiar, but that is not synchronicity. It's a simple coincidence since it is not something that leads them to their destiny. Synchronicity happens when events, nature, and people come together to make what was hidden manifest. What was unconscious, conscious. What was in us come through us. What was beyond the scope and grasp of the ego become fully and easily accessible. It can be the single event that makes all the difference, and it even makes flowers bloom in the desert. That is beautiful. So there is a destiny when it comes to finding a mate. We've learned that today. I think we've also learned from Abraham Lincoln that you stay ready. You don't have to get ready if you stay ready. So if you want to be in a relationship and you're ready to find someone, you have to trust and believe and relax and follow your intuition. It never lies to you. Remember the God force in you, the God force outside of you is all working in your favor, and you have to just trust and believe and don't worry. So I like that. I like how David Richo ends this part. We are almost at the end of chapter 3. Next week, am I meeting with you? Yes, the 20th. I am going to meet with you next week on the 20th. we are going to talk about practices. So the next time we meet, bring your journals. So all of you all who've been recording chapter 1 and chapter 2 in your journals, make sure you bring your journals the next time we meet, because we'll be doing some exercises. Oh, wait. Am I still here? Okay, I froze a little bit. So we'll be doing some exercises next week, practices that we can do. I love that about David Richo's book. It really gives practical information and things that we can do. So bring your journals next week. We're going to be finishing chapter 3 of Finding a Mate and moving on to chapter 4. David Richo, he is the author of this book, How to Be an Adult in Relationships, The 5 Keys to Mindful Loving. David Richo is coming on the platform here, and he is going to be talking to us about this book. By then, we would have done more than a dozen videos about this particular book. I think that's something that mindful loving is something that us as Black folks, we need to incorporate that into our lives. Mindful loving. Thank you guys for joining me. Listen, go to About Me at coachingwithdralicia.com. When we're done, I'll put the link in the chat. So you'll have that link in the chat. I don't have a copy of it, but I'll put the link in the chat. Be sure to go there. I'm doing a very free webinar on Thursday, and I'll be showing you guys what level of trauma you've been in, what does it mean for you, and how you can live your life with absolutely no stress at all. You can live your life in peace. I've been teaching my clients this for 20 some odd years. And on Thursday, I'm going to teach you guys for free, totally free webinar, how to never have stress ever in your life. It is possible. Some people think that stress is just a normal part of life, and I don't think it needs to be. And I'm here to show you and here to tell you that it does not need to happen. So I would like for you to come to the webinar, learn about all the things I'm going to teach you, and then I'll give you a special opportunity to be part of my VIP personal group. But we'll talk about that later. Yes, Zara, David Richo. Excellent book. Thank you for the positive comments, Zara. Zara's single, y'all. She raised her hand. I guess it's a she. So maybe y'all could interact with each other on the chat. This club has been so transformative for me as a man. I'm indebted. Oh, thank you, Jay. Thank you so much. I'll be back next Sunday. Have your journals ready. If you're interested in working with me, coachingwithdralicia.com. Let me see if I can pull it up. You can text the word love, LOVE, to 87948. That's how you'll know when and what time I go live, because it's never the same time on a Sunday. I'm busy, y'all. I'm meeting clients on Sunday, so I want to make sure I schedule time for individual people who pay me money, and then I work the book club around that. So, but again, if you want to meet with me individually on a Sunday, go to coachingwithdralicia.com. Myself or my team will reach right back out to you, and we will make sure that we help you meet your goals. Again, on Thursday, don't forget to register. About Me, coachingwithdralicia.com. Register for my webinar. There's limited space, limited availability, but I want to teach you guys how to be an adult in relationships and live peacefully. We live in this world, how to relax and never worry, and to let love come into your life. So goodbye, everybody. Thank you for joining me.